feet.
Now, Bobby, here's the legs of our very first guest, of course, and as we pan up there, it's funny to see a person who played football at 17 years of age, and he had a very strange nickname, Bob.
I thought that toads only had 2 legs, 4 legs, or whatever they were.
Well, of course, when you're talking about a toad, you're talking about Alan Aylett,
yeah,
who joins us on Grumpy Old Men. Alan, welcome to the program.
Thanks very much, Kev. Thank you.
Who gave you the nickname the Toad?
Albert Mantello.
And why?
Well, I used to put on quite a bit of weight. I played cricket in the summer, football in the winter, cricket in the summer. But I must say, first time down at training each year, I was a bit plump. And one particular year, Albert said, towards the end of my career, and Albert said, you look like a fat toad. And it just seemed to be one of those names that stuck. But it's funny, Kevin, because I mean, over a period of time now, I probably answer to about 6 different names, and each one of them, is sort of a decade, or not quite a decade, but an era. So, although my memory's going, from time to time, it makes it much easier when people call me either Alan, Mick, Prez, Doc, or the Toad. Yeah, it's fine. I can fit those into decades now.
A lot of people just might forget because, and we'll get to the fact, when you're president of the Kangaroos and also the AFL, but you played AFL football at 17 years of age coming out of University High School.
Yes, I was a pupil at University High School, and I lived in West Brunswick. That's where my family home was. So that zoned me to the Kangaroos.
Did you want to be a Kangaroo?
I was very much a rabid Essendon supporter. Even when I was playing with the North Melbourne under-17 team, I played with them for 3 years, and always an Essendon supporter, until, of course, the very first day, which was the first game of the year in 1952, when I was still at University High School, and from, well, of course, from that day onwards, like it happens to most people, you automatically become just dyed-in-the-wool involved with the club that you're playing with. But yes, I must say in those days it didn't happen very often where a schoolboy went
straight in.
VFL football.
Once you got a game in the seniors, did cricket go out the door as far as aspirations to going much further in the cricket, or was football?
No. I managed to play both, and when I left University High School, I played district cricket with Melbourne University Cricket Club, and I mean, once you're a student at Melbourne University, you had to play with the Melbourne University Cricket Club, and 2 or 3 years down the track, I had a couple of years with the Victorian Sheffield Shield
with
side.
the state team,
and that was a wonderful experience, but I was still playing football at the same time, and then I had permission because Melbourne University Cricket Club were granted a concession that they could continue to have a graduate as captain of the Melbourne University Cricket Club, just to keep some stability in the club. So from really about the age of 23, 24 through to 26 or 27, I was captain of Melbourne University Cricket Club, and then I went back to Carlton because that's where I played my cricket before Melbourne University, and played another year or 2 there, and then by the time I was 30, well, cricket was finished and football was finished.
Alan, normally you start at 17, you'd be thinking you'd be in and out of the seniors. I know it happened in my career for nearly 4 years, but I noticed your record. You played for 12 years and you played 220 games. One thing, you wouldn't have been dropped much and you wouldn't have probably had many injuries.
No, I never played with the reserves, or I never came up through the under-19s, and I think it was 13 years too that I played.
13. Did you go straight from the under-17s into the seniors?
Yes, yes.
So you went from the fourths?
From the fourths to the firsts, and the first game of the year was against Carlton at Arden Street, and that's right. And then I played until I was 30. I broke one arm and then another arm consecutively, and of course I'd been a practicing dentist at that stage for about 6 years. So when I broke one arm after the other, well, it was time to finish. And Bob was captain of one of the interstate teams I played in, I think Bob might have thought that I was
1958. That's right, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But when you were coach in 60, were you coach as well, 60?
Yeah, well, I've got great memories of when I was coach at North Melbourne and you and a few others, yes. I'm going to bring that up a bit later on.
When you were coaching Victoria.
Oh, Victoria in 63?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
I'm the only coach, or I was at that stage, the only coach of Victoria ever to get beaten by South Australia on the Melbourne cricket ground.
Yes.
I didn't have the job long. One season I was Victorian coach.
Alan, tell us about the Kangaroos in those days, because the Kangaroos haven't enjoyed a great deal of success until later on. Of course, you came in as president, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But playing in the days that you played, did you ever see yourself as maybe playing in the finals or being in the premiership or winning a grand final?
We did play in the finals in 1954 and then again in 1958. And Collingwood, we beat Fitzroy in the first semi-final, and Collingwood beat us in the preliminary final in 1958. And we got off to a bad start and kicked badly in the first term, but got back into the game, and Collingwood won by about 3 goals. And if you remember, that was a great year that Collingwood had, and went on to beat Melbourne, the favourites. So we were in right up until the preliminary final, and really had a chance of winning that preliminary final. Now, you know, goodness knows where we might have won a flag 27 years later, or whatever that works out to be. That's not quite right. Yeah, 27 years later, earlier than 1975, I mean. But we had, in that 1958 team, probably 8 or 9 players that had represented Victoria. So it was quite a reasonable era, you know, the mid-50s through until 60. Then we ran into a very lean spot.
When you're talking about eras, there is no doubt that when you were playing, North Melbourne had 2 of the greatest footballers that I've ever seen, Leslie Foote and Kevin Dynan. Both magnificent players, weren't they?
Yes, yeah, great players.
Great players,
yeah,
you know.
Great players. And I think at that stage too, we would have had probably...
we had a fantastic backline.
A backline that would still rank with anyone. I mean, it's the toughest backline that you could ever...
Patrick Kelly used to bring his gun out.
Give us
in
the
his
names,
trousers.
What's some of the names?
Kelly,
Pat Kelly,
McCorkle, Reeves,
Gerrard.
Reeves, Dodger Ryan and Gerrard. And if you fell over in... Well, Teddy Gerrard said, if you fall over in front of me, pick your head up after the game in the grandstand, you know. And that they used to cut their jumpers right in here. They'd sleevers, so they would show these huge pectoral muscles, and they put oil all over, and it was a very dangerous thing to play against them, I'll tell you.
Well, but particularly like when North Melbourne played Essendon, because we've always been great rivals, and John Coleman, of course, was really in his heyday against that defence, and I mean, I was very young at the time, and a former Essendon barrack, as I've just said, and the way these guys used to hit Coleman when he'd take a mark, and I mean, they just wouldn't last today. You'd all be suspended, but they'd hit him, and then he'd go down, and I reckon one by one, 3 or 4 of them would walk right across the top of him, you know, and I shuddered. But anyway, I mean, with all due respects, Coleman used to get up and
that's right.
You know, finish up with these 6 or 7 goals against you know, the toughest backline that probably the game's ever seen.
I reckon one more. When they disappeared, then Albert came on the half-back flank, Albert Mantello. And Hickey said, you play on Mantello. I said, it's not really my go, I'll tell you. And anyway, Albert, and just then, this is fashion week. Geelong, we always used to have navy blue tailored shorts, and being a fancy Dan, I got my white ones tailored as well. I got these beautiful new, and Albert came out and got hold of me shorts, and I start to run, and I'm going, and Albert's standing there with my new shorts in his hand. So I go get a new pair. Albert grabs them again. Off I go, another pair go. There's a pair there go. I put another one on, and Albert, I said, if you do that again, I'll give you the best whack in there. I didn't mean it or anything like that, you know. But anyway, grabbed it, and I went whack like that. I hit him right across the bridge of the nose. He said, don't you stop running for the rest of the day, because if you stop, I put up my hand and I said to Red Hickey, I want to be Rover. I want to be Rover for the day. Wasn't he a great man, Albert?
Oh, very good player.
Oh, Albert, good knee running.
A knee injury finished Albert's career, and I mean, as we know now with the development of knee surgery, Albert probably would have been playing in a couple of weeks, but it finished his career just like John Coleman.
That's right.
Can I call you Doc? Mick?
Yeah, that's the one, Doc. I knew there was 6. I knew there was 6. That's it. Yeah.
How do you get the name Shinboners? I mean, Kangaroos, North Melbourne. Back in the 60s, was it Shinboners?
Well, it was in the 1949-50 era when North played in a grand final in 1950 and a preliminary final 49. And North Melbourne was a little village then, and that's what sort of gives us all our culture, I must say. But in those days, the North Melbourne village turned out, with all the decorations that you wouldn't see these days, but in the North Melbourne village you did. And there was a butcher there who was an avid North Melbourne supporter, and he hung out the shin bones.
Is that right, shin bone?
I always thought because they kicked you in the shins all the time to be true.
But a lot of them worked at the abattoirs, didn't they?
What about Dougie?
A lot of them worked at the abattoirs.
Yes.
The Kangaroo players.
The abattoirs and on the waterfront.
What about
Love
Dougie?
the
Wasn't it last year you said you were going to join up?
I'm a member of the
You are a member of the Kangaroos?
Yeah, I'm a member.
Why would you be a member of the Kangaroos when you're...
Well, Keith Gregg was my hero as a kid growing up. I loved Keith Gregg. Here I am. I'm a Kangaroos. Where am I, Doc?
Well done.
I'm a member there. Kangaroo man. How's that, Doc?
I knew you were, Doug.
They wouldn't be getting my money, I tell you.
They're going to send you the big rap on
I'm a Kangaroo man.
Yeah, in fact, Mel Brown too, we had a little bit of trouble this time of the year last year, but it was just amazing how many people from other clubs, including blokes like Mel Brown and Kevin Sheedy and others who joined the Kangaroos.
Alan, tell us about after you finished as a player. Obviously, Kangaroos down and out, not winning a premiership. You said the 60s came and it was very, very disappointing time for the Kangaroos. And you decided to become president and go after Ron Barassi. Well, you got Ron Barassi. Was he your first choice to coach the Kangaroos?
Yes, he was.
So why did you target Ron Barassi? Why did you think that Ron Barassi was the person that was going to bring the ultimate goal to North Melbourne?
Well, at that stage, Ron had a wonderful career. As a player, of course, and then he playing coach at Carlton and a coach at Carlton, and it was in about the end of 1972, I think. He just he'd stood out of coaching after 1971 was the last year he coached. Stood out coaching in 1972, and we knew that he was a bit restless after spending a year in the media. And I mean, we were all very good mates in those days, and I became the president in 1971, and we appointed Brian Dixon the coach of our club in 71-72, and Brian had a lot of parliamentary duties. He was just starting off as a potential junior minister, and after a couple of years Brian stood down, and when Brian stood down, well, we knew that the only person to get to be our coach was Ron, and he took it all on board, and then of course we had a dream recruiting era with the 10-year rule coming into place, and we were able to recruit probably 8 of the best footballers in the game, and with Barassi's moulding and the charisma that he brought to the club.
Well, who picked the likes of Doug Wade and John Rantel and Barry Davis? Was that Ron Barassi himself, or
collectively.
Was that you as a committee?
Yes, and Ron Joseph, of course. I mean, Albert Mantella was always a good judge of a footballer. He sort of really knew what was necessary. We had our match committee chairman, Max Ritchie. I mean, we had 6 or 8 guys who were all fairly young. I mean, we were 35, 36 years of age in those days when all this was happening.
You really wrote to every best and fairest player in every team, in every state, didn't you?
Yes, we did. And we'd virtually spoken to all of them before the VFL ever introduced the rules.
Yeah.
I mean, we'd all be suspended these days if we did that sort of thing.
Now, where is
Didn't worry about the salary cap back in those days, Alan.
No.
Where's the famous serviette? Who's got the serviette?
Albert's got the serviette.
Albert's got it?
Yes.
Well, Albert doesn't need to sell it for memorabilia, so that's all right.
Well, he's maturing a little bit, and he's just asked me the other day should he do the right thing and
sell it
hand
and give the
back
money to the club?
And I said, I think that's a very noble gesture, Albert. And Albert said, well, I think we should have a good lunch to hand this serviette
What's
over.
on it? What's on it, Al? What's on the, for people who don't know, what's on the...
Well, it's just, you know, we didn't have a contract when we started. Well, it's a contract, yeah.
It's a contract.
We met Ron Barassi at the old Melbourne Motor Inn. Yeah, that's right. We had a special room there provided by Alan Johnson, who we all know. And anyway, we got down after about half an hour. The deal was done. And we said, well, we haven't got anything to sign. And then Albert said, well, there's a serviette there. So we got the serviette. We just ran out just the briefest of words, Kevin, which stipulated the amount of money that we're paying Ron and for how long. And it was signed by Ron and myself and anyone else who was there. And that was it.
Was he hard to convince to coach the Kangaroos?
No. No. You could see...
Sure, it was an ultimate challenge.
He really... that's right. Yeah, it was Ron Barassi, typical Ron Barassi, vintage Ron Barassi.
It was easy for Barassi. It was easy for the three that they stole, because Pud come down with a bag full of... I don't know where they got all the notes from. Douglas Wade came down with a brown paper bag full of notes.
Where did you get the money from,
Yeah, go on, Doc.
Well, under the gasometer. You know that big gasometer that used to be
the vault
in Macaulay Road?
Macaulay Road, yeah.
Yeah, that's where it was. We had it
hidden there.
Been hiding it there for years.
Yeah.
I don't worry about those superstars. I worry about the other players that you had who I thought they were dangerous. Players like Crackers Keenan, Snake Baker, Brent Croswell, those types of players. How could you handle them as a president? You must have had some times off the field.
Discipline.
Crazy horse cow.
I think one of the things that Gary Catton, that's right.
But
I think one of the things that that made it all work was because we were all young. I mean, we were all we're on a mission, you know, and it was just like going to war, you know, with an army of young guys. And Ron Barassi still says it to this very day, that the same sort of circumstances that never happened before and will never happen again. But I mean, it was just very, very unique situation.
Alan, what made you then decide to move away from the Kangaroos, who you love so much, as a player, as a president, winning the premiership, getting Ron Barassi there, and deciding that you'd become president of the AFL?
Well, I mean, I didn't decide to do that outright.
Who headhunted Alan Aylett?
Graham Hawkins from the St Kilda Football Club. He approached me first of all, and I'd been president of our club then for 6 years, and that was long enough. I mean, I'm just not a great believer in people hanging around too long. And then Graham Hawkins came and said that he believed that football was on the move, and Sir Maurice Nathan, the president of the day, was going to resign, and so then it became a contest between myself and Phil Ryan, the president of the Hawthorn Football Club. And I do believe, I mean, it's never ever been proven, but I do believe that I won on Sir Maurice Nathan's casting vote, so it was 7-6.
Did you lobby the other presidents?
Oh, yes, we did.
You did?
Yeah.
So once you decided that you wanted the job, you really went after it?
Yes, yes.
Why would you want to do it, Alan? Well, all AFL president or VFL presidents then, you're just on a hiding to nothing, aren't you, really, with supporters?
Well, I must say, yeah, I just have and still have got a great belief in Australian football, and I just think it does so many things for the community. I mean, it just satisfies so many people. There are role models for the young men of Australia to live up to and to live to. I just felt that with what was happening with cricket and tennis, where sport was moving, even the Olympic Games was moving into professionalism, and I just really thought that it was worthwhile going in, and the people that were voted for me, I obviously felt that way. There was more conservative clubs, probably 6 of the clubs were more conservative, and were tending to go down the Phil Ryan track. I must just qualify this and say that from the night that it was announced, after the VFL board voted for me to be the new president, and I was 42 years of age then, that Phil Ryan has been so good to me from that very, very first night. There was just not 1 ounce of ill feeling from Phil towards me, and never ever has been, and we've just been great friends, you know, as life members of the AFL. And so off it went. And
so much for the off-field activity. We'll go back to when you're on the field, Mick. Now, in 1958, in the Carnival, with 1 game to go, that big Peter Boy came up to me, the last game, and he said, "You've only got to play well today and you'll win the Tassie medal." And I thought I played pretty well today. And at the end of the thing, who wins the Tassie medal? Michael Aylett, Alan Aylett, Dr. Alan Aylett. And about, I don't know how many years after, we had a marvellous reunion at the boardroom of the Melbourne Cricket Ground when it was found that actually you won on account back from Teddy, didn't you?
Yes.
And we got a duplicate medal made, and Teddy wasn't real well, and you presented it. I have it on video. It's one of the nicest things that I ever see now. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was a great thing, wasn't it?
Well, I mean, the Brownlow medals, yeah, the people who lost on countbacks by that stage,
now, yeah.
you know, had got their retrospective Brownlow medals, and we really did feel that it was very, very timely for Ted to be awarded his Tassie medal, because I must say, as you know, we played more games in that carnival than we did in normal carnivals, because it was a centenary championships in 1958. But Ted was just, you know, so good to me, and throughout the carnival, and just so many handballs and that sort of thing. Looked after me, and you know, whenever we used to get into trouble with blokes like Neil Curley, Bobby Skilton, or myself, well, I mean, you know who.
You know who would help you up then. No,
Alan, thanks for joining us on Grumpy Old Men. It's great to catch up. One of the greats of the Kangaroos, a champion player, president of the club, and then to the AFL, now back again as president of the Kangaroos. We wish you well this year. Let's hope it's a great year for the Kangaroos. You've got a new coach. You've started the season pretty well, and let's hope 2003 is a great year for your club.
Thanks very much, Kev.
Alan Aylett joining us on Grumpy Old Men. When we come back, one of the greatest wingmen of all time. He played in 5 premierships.